Africa CDC, Dr. Kaisea, development partners, philanthropists, global health institutions, and friends. I'd like to thank the chairperson of the African Union for convening this very important meeting at a critical moment for our continent. We also welcome and convey our sincere appreciation to the leaders from across the world that have joined us in solidarity. It has been a month since we last met, where we demonstrated political will and mobilized just under $500 million in pledges from various countries, global health institutions, banks, and philanthropic organizations. This is a critical opportunity to take stock and renew our commitments. Our collective resolve remains vested in the health and the livelihoods of our people on our continent, as well as on the brave health workers who fight this terrible threat on the front lines. We have to mourn the lives that have been lost to this disease and convey our condolences to the families and communities that have been affected by the spread of Ebola. We support the recently launched Continental Preparedness and Response Plan and are determined to ensure that it is adequately financed. In this regard, I'm pleased to announce that South Africa is increasing its pledge to $13.5 million as our commitment to solidarity and sovereignty for the people who are affected by this spread of Ebola on our continent. I call upon all leaders to maintain or increase their pledges, and all those who made pledges at the last meeting to convert them in full and into cash, into medical countermeasures or technical assistance, whichever one is preferable. With no vaccine or antiviral, every day that transmission continues unchecked, the human cost just rises. The West Africa Ebola epidemic we experienced demonstrated that delayed action can transform a localized outbreak into a regional and a global crisis. That is why our response must focus on breaking the transmission and stopping Ebola at its source. However, our public health measures are being thwarted and weakened by the volatile environment in which the response is being undertaken. As political leaders, we can help by creating safe corridors for the passage of those people who are transporting goods and those who are providing services. We must seek a ceasefire to allow the Ebola response to proceed unhindered. We must continue to strengthen cross-border collaboration in this regard and act together. We must expand rapid diagnostic testing, contact tracing, and community awareness. We should be concerned that we have no biotechnology in our arsenal against the Bundi-Buyonyo strain of Ebola. While we welcome and unreservedly support the efforts of Gavi, CEPI, and others, Africa cannot depend indefinitely on external markets and production systems during health emergencies like it happened during COVID-19. The response to Ebola, therefore, cannot end when this outbreak ends, as it must end. This moment must become a turning point. As African leaders, we must accelerate investment in local manufacturing, strengthen the African Medicines Agency, and we must also operationalize the African pooled procurement mechanism. African manufacturers must have predictable markets, and African countries must have reliable access to life-saving products in emergencies. We must all take heed of Africa's CDC's stance against imposing blanket and unsubstantiated travel bans. So I call upon African financial institutions, development banks, philanthropies, and African private sector to join governments in this whole effort of fighting against the spread of Ebola. I call upon our continental partners to continue to stand with Africa in a spirit of solidarity and mutual responsibility. We welcome the bold actions being undertaken by the World Bank to free up capital for the response. We call on all financing institutions to be as flexible and understanding in this hour of need. Our countries, as a continent and as a global community, our actions must be evidence-based, scientifically sound, and mutually accountable. The world will not be safe from Ebola until we have eliminated it everywhere. And when we do eliminate this threat, which we surely must and will, we must intensify our efforts to build a resilient global health architecture that will safeguard our people now and into the future. This is the time for action. This is the time when we must respond against this pandemic that is spreading. And all of us have within us the ability to do so. I thank you, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Wesley Ramaphosa, for your statement. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Jean Kaseya, Director General of ASCA CDC, to
give us a brief overview of the situation that we are faced with that regard to Ebola outbreak. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Without any further ado, I'm going to make a presentation on the epidemiological situation on our continent. And this presentation is entitled Ebola, Opportunity for Health Security and Sovereignty in Africa. And with your permission, I'm going to speak in English because that will help me to move faster.
Excellence, vous verrez que
This is the map in the
voici
eastern part of
la
DRC.
carte
You can't even know
de la partie
where is
est de
Uganda,
la
where is
RDC.
DRC, where is South Sudan, because all of these people are
Alors,
together.
nous ne pouvons pas distinguer la RDC et
Today,
le Soudan du
we
Sud.
are discussing this issue that is a
Aujourd'hui,
continental issue for us.
Nous
Ebola is
débattons de
not
cette
only
question qui est continentale pour nous,
a virus, it's also a threat
due
to
au
our
virus.
economy, our trade.
Ces virus également constituent une menace pour notre économie.
Maybe there is a network issue. I don't know what is going on.
Nous recevons de l'écho. Ah, pourquoi?
Okay. I was saying Ebola is not just a virus.
Je
It's
dirais que
also a
Ebola
threat to our economic growth, to trade, to tourism,
n'est pas seulement une menace
mining,
pour notre
cross-border
croissance économique,
commerce,
le tourisme,
even political
l'extraction
stability
minière,
I
le
can
commerce
say
et même
instability.
l'aspect politique.
And also lack of confidence from investors.
Et cause
Let me
également un
just
manque de
quote
confidence pour
General
nos
Winston
investisseurs.
Mbadi, who's the Minister of State Trade of Uganda, who declared
Alors, je m'arrêterai ici au ministre du Commerce de l'Ouganda qui nous a dit que l'Ouganda est un numéro 1 de destination en matière de commerce dans la région. Si la frontière est fermée aujourd'hui entre l'Ouganda et les pays voisins,
will be losing. This is why, as President Ramaphosa was saying, we need to stop this outbreak today or so quickly.
Nous devons donc stopper la propagation de l'épidémie.
About what is the current situation that we are facing.
Nous allons parler de la situation actuelle à laquelle nous faisons face.
194 deaths, and let me remind you that the information we are providing
nous avons des dettes et nous allons dire que l'information.
Maybe now that I'm talking to
les informations que vous allez recevoir datent du mois de juin.
23.4% of the case fatality rate.
33% des coûts de mortalité
with 10%, and every day we are seeing
sont enregistrés. Et chaque jour, nous avons des cas de mortalité. À ce jour, nous avons un bon nombre de pays qui sont au risque, comme le Burundi, le Rwanda, et d'autres pays à risque. Donc, nous devons nous rassurer que ce virus ne va pas se propager dans ces autres pays.
Where we have more than 97% of all cases.
Et comme c'est le cas en RDC, nous avons près de 914 cas.
This slide and the second one will show you how serious is this outbreak.
Alors, ces diapos vont vous montrer comment est-ce que le virus évolue.
When we took a photo 21 days after the declaration,
nous avions pris une photo 21 jours après la déclaration et nous nous sommes rendus compte que 681 cas ont été rapportés, mais nous faisons la comparaison avec le taux des cas du Budingo. C'est presque 6 fois ce que nous avions eu en
Week 3, this Budubungyo outbreak was already the third outbreak, Ebola outbreak, if we compare in terms of number of confirmed cases out of the 21 outbreaks that we know. But more importantly, Your Excellencies, we all know what happened in West Africa. We all know what happened in DRC, in the eastern part of DRC in 2018. But if you take a photo 3 weeks after the declaration of all of these outbreaks, this current one is coming first with a number of confirmed cases and number of deaths. But more importantly, today we are the 16th of June, and His Excellency decided to call for this meeting almost 1 month after the declaration. When we take a photo today and we compare with all of these outbreaks, you will see that this current Budubungyo outbreak with the 827 cases and 94 deaths is becoming first more than the West African Ebola outbreak, more than the